Hello and welcome to ATM 301 Semi-Automated Strategies. My name is Ryan and I am a NinjaTrader Technical Support Representative. So before we begin, we have quite a few things to take care of. First being an audio and visual test. So if you can hear my voice and see the slide on the screen, can you please enter a Y into the chat room? All right, excellent. So some other quick things before we begin. There's a lot of stuff going on with our social media over here at NinjaTrader, especially with the release of NinjaTrader 8. So I'm going to provide some links to the NinjaTrader Twitter, the NinjaTrader Facebook page, and the NinjaTrader blog. So you can go ahead and check all of this out for some exclusive market commentary, some updates on contract expirations, rollover dates, and a whole lot more. And one other item that I'd like to just address real quickly is that we did release NinjaTrader 8, and a lot of people are asking, what is new in NinjaTrader 8? Well, we have added over 500 user-driven enhancements, which include some new charting analytics, our new alert system, some new features in the Superdome window, a modernized user interface, and a whole lot more. So we're going to go ahead and see quite a few new features today within ATM 301 as well that I'd like to cover. All right. So one last item before we begin. It is important to understand that there are substantial risks in trading commodity future contracts or foreign currency. You should carefully consider whether such trading is suitable for you and will depend on your specific circumstance and financial resources. It is possible to lose all the funds deposited with your broker and could even incur losses beyond these amounts. Please inquire at brokerage support at ninjatrader.com for more information or for a copy of the CFTC full risk disclosure. Also, please remember that these training webinars are not a solicitation nor a recommendation, but simply educational in nature. So NinjaTrader is a free application for advanced charting, market analytics, automated strategy development, and trade simulation. We only charge for our product if and when you decide to trade live on the NinjaTrader platform. And you can go ahead and check out some links regarding all that information in that yellow box below. All right, so in ATM 301 today, we are going to look at the auto break-even settings. We're going to learn how to configure an auto trail, and we're going to use the breakout fade entry with an ATM strategy, and there's a few other features that I'll highlight along the way that are new to NinjaTrader 8 that have to do with some ATMs. All right, so here's a picture of the Black Dojo workspace that we will be working with mostly today, and let's go ahead and jump over to my screen. You can see that it sort of looks like that, but I'm not connected, so there's no data coming through. So let's go ahead and go to Connections and Simulated Data Feed. All right, so now that my simulated data feed is connected, it's starting to look a little bit more lively, I'm going to go ahead and remove the FX board, and I'm going to remove the market analyzer. I'm going to remove this multi-series chart right here. So this is only going to have two charts, which I'm going to go ahead and turn Chart Trader on this tick chart right here by clicking on this icon, going to Chart Trader. I'm going to keep it hidden, and I'm going to go ahead and move this chart over so we can see a little bit more. Perfect. All right, so here is our setup for ATM 301. I'm going to be using the Superdome today, so if you would like to go ahead and use the Chart Trader, you can go ahead and I'm going to enable it on this side. You can follow along using the ATM strategy section on Chart Trader as well. Okay, so yesterday in ATM 201, we learned how to create an ATM strategy and all of the basics around ATM strategies. So let's go ahead and dive into the advanced content. So I'm going to create a new ATM strategy. I'm going to create a simple 8-tick stop loss with no profit target, just so we can see the auto break even and the auto trail features work in action. Okay, so to activate a stop strategy, you need to select on this stop strategy. and go ahead and select Custom. So within the stop strategy selections, we can see that we have the auto break-even settings, auto trail, and simulated stops. So first we're going to go ahead and learn about the auto break-even. So just as a quick definition, an auto break-even is a simple one-step stop strategy, meaning that once this profit trigger is hit, the stop loss is going to move to the predefined plus area. So the predefined plus area is going to be either positive or negative amount of ticks away from the average entry price. So just for example, if we were to have a 0 in here, we would be referring to the break-even point or our average entry price. So if the profit trigger is hit, that means our stop loss will move to our average entry price. So just a quick little bit of lingo for you. The average entry price, break-even, and 0 in this situation for auto break-even all mean the same thing. So if you hear anybody refer to any of those three items, that's what they're talking about, is the average entry price or the 0 or the break-even. So let's go ahead and set a profit trigger of 4 ticks. And we'll keep our plus at 0 for now, but we'll go ahead and check out what it looks like with a different plus in here in a second. So we'll go ahead and select OK. Now our stop strategy is right here. It's selected as custom. So we'll select OK. And now we have a completely custom ATM strategy. So first I'm going to buy into the market. Selecting yes. So this is going to put my stop loss 8 ticks away from the average entry price, which is this brown price right here. So once the last traded price takes 4 positive ticks above, so 1, 2, 3, 4, our stop loss will move up to the average entry price right here due to the auto break even. So once I turn this trend slider up, looks like we have about 3 more ticks to go. Looks like 2 more and 1 more. As we hear that cash register sound, our auto break even activates and it moves our stop loss to the average entry price. So this is just making sure that if we hit a certain amount of profit and ticks, our stop loss moves and it tightens up our position so we don't get any loss on this trade. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close out of this order. I'm going to select edit within this section of the ATM, and I'm going to select edit within the custom section of the stop strategy. So let's go ahead and add 2 to the plus section. So in a long position, this will put our stop loss 2 ticks above, which I'm going to refer to as the favorable side, so the side that we're going to gain profit on. The favorable side in a long position above, in a short position below, our stop loss will move to the favorable side, ensuring that we do receive a little bit of profit. So we'll go ahead and select OK. OK again in the ATM. And we'll go ahead and turn up the trend slider. So in 4 favorable ticks, our stop loss is going to move 2 ticks above the average entry price, which is going to be at right here. So we're currently at 1 tick. And then there's 2 ticks where our stop loss is going to move. And there is 4. So our stop loss moved 2 ticks above the average entry price, ensuring that we did receive some profit because the last traded price did move up 4 favorable ticks. So we'll go ahead and close out of that. We'll select the edit button in ATM strategy, the edit button in stop strategy, and we'll go ahead and enter in a -2 value in this section. So with a negative value within the auto break-even section, it is going to put our stop loss still on the losing side of the trade. So that way it will tighten our position, but if the market were to fall and then readjust back up, we still have a chance to catch the action in the market that way. So we'll go ahead and select OK. Buy in. So as we know, our profit trigger, which is the amount of favorable ticks that the last traded price needs to reach for our auto break-even activate, needs to be at 4, which is 1 more tick. And now our stop loss moves 2 ticks behind the average entry price. So we can put negative values in there. When we enter in a negative value in a long position, it's below the average entry price. and in a long position, it's below the average entry price. In a short position, it's above the average entry price. So we'll go ahead and close out of that, which is going to bring us to our first poll. In the auto break-even field, having plus 0 would represent the following. Is that the average entry price, the profit trigger, or the current/last price? So if you want to go ahead and take these polls, you can go ahead and click on the colored rectangles with the numbers inside of them, or the circles next to the answer that you would like to pick. Please note that you do not have to take these quizzes either. They're just strictly educational, and they'll give me a chance to cover any additional items as well. So I'll go ahead and leave this open for a few moments as well. So I'll go ahead and leave this open for a few moments. And I'd like to take the time too to say, if you have any questions at all regarding ATM 301 content, you can go ahead and put those in the chat as well, and I will be happy to answer those at a good stopping point like a poll or at the end of the webinar. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and stop the poll. So the question is, in the auto break-even field, having plus 0 would represent the following. The correct answer will be the average entry price. All right, so let's go ahead, jump back into the ATM strategy, back into the stop strategy section, and let's go ahead and remove the values from the auto break-even and dive into the auto trail. So in NinjaTrader 8, you must activate the auto trail first step to receive the options for auto trail. So we need to click on this bubble or right next to one step, and now it will give us our auto trail parameters. So a common misconception is that in NinjaTrader, for the auto trail, the steps are 1, 2, and 3. So step 1 being the stop loss, step 2 being the profit trigger, step 3 being the frequency. That is not true. So these step buttons right here literally will add in more steps for us to utilize in our auto trail. So the way that a auto trail works is that we have the profit trigger, just like the auto break even, and you'll hear me use this phrase, overall favorable amount of ticks. So it's going to be the overall phrase that I'll be repeating often. That's going to come into play for auto trail. So the profit trigger is going to be the overall amount of favorable ticks, just like auto break even, that we would want our first step to activate. So we'll go ahead and enter in this value as 4. So just like our auto break even, in 4 favorable ticks, our auto trail will activate. So next, the stop loss will move. So the stop loss, unlike the auto break even, will move behind the last traded price. So auto trail, just to reiterate that, auto trail will follow the last traded price. Auto break even will be for the average entry price. So that's the difference between the two. Okay, so stop loss for step 1. We can go ahead and make the stop loss trail behind the last traded price for a certain amount of ticks away. So let's go ahead and enter in the value of 3 for stop loss. And so this means that after 4 favorable ticks, our stop loss is going to trail behind the last traded price 3 ticks. So it's going to be 3 ticks behind the last traded price. So next, the last option is going to be frequency. So frequency is going to act like a profit trigger, except it's going to be the amount of ticks after the profit trigger is activated that we would like for our stop loss to move again. So as frequency entails, it will be continuous, and it's not going to be affected by that overall favorable amount of ticks rule, as you will see with step 2 activated. So the frequency, if we enter in the value of 2, it's going to act like this. When the profit trigger is activated at 4 favorable ticks, our stop loss is going to move 3 ticks behind the last traded price, and then from every 2 favorable ticks from that 4 favorable ticks, our stop loss is going to trail behind the last traded price for 3 ticks. So we'll go ahead and see what I mean by that with frequency, because frequency can be kind of abstract at first. So we'll go ahead and buy into the market. Select yes. And in 4 favorable ticks, our stop loss is going to move 3 ticks behind the last traded price. And then in every 2 ticks, our stop loss is going to move 3 ticks behind the last traded price. So this is what's referred to right now as a trailer or a runner or an auto trail. There's a lot of different ways that people refer to this. It's just an open-ended stop loss with no profit target that follows the market just in case if the market shoots straight up, that we can ensure that we get as much profit as possible for when the market falls back and fills out our stop loss. All right, so let's go ahead and take our first poll. Frequency sets what value for the auto trail? So the answers are number 1, the number of times we wish to enter into the market, or number 2, the number of ticks in profit after the profit trigger that we wish to see the stop loss adjusted. So I'll go ahead and leave this poll open for a few moments. All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop the poll. So the question was, frequency sets what value for the auto trail? And the correct answer will be number 2, the number of ticks in profit after the profit trigger that we wish to see the stop loss adjusted. So thank you for taking that. All right. So let's move along to the next item. We'll go ahead and jump back into the stop strategies. And let's go ahead and add in a second step. So now that we have 2 steps, that overall favorable amount of ticks phrase that I keep using is going to come into play. So a common mistake that people make is that they want their profit trigger for step 2 to happen in, let's say, 4 more ticks. So enter the value of 4 right here within step 1 and step 2. This is incorrect. So what's going to happen now is step 1 and step 2 will activate at the same time, basically nullifying step 1. So if you want it to happen in 4 more ticks, you would have to enter in the value of 8. So that is going to be the amount of overall favorable ticks. So now we have our step 2 starting at 8 overall favorable ticks. And now we need to tighten up our stop loss. So I'm going to move this value to 2. So at 8 overall favorable ticks, our stop loss is going to move 2 ticks behind the last traded price, and we'll set our frequency to 2. So at this point, step 1's frequency technically will activate in between step 1 and 2 because the value of 4 and 8, there's only 4 ticks that are allowed to happen favorably between 4 and 8 total. So technically at 6 overall favorable ticks, our frequency activates. So let's go ahead and say we want to have this frequency only activate once. I like to enter in a number larger than 4 and 8, such as 5. This would have the frequency only happen once. So let's go ahead and say someone enters in the value of 1 here. This means for every tick after your profit trigger is activated, your stop loss will adjust 3 ticks behind the last traded price. So that is incorrect. If you only want the move to happen once, you need to enter in a larger number than 4 and 8. So the gap between step 1 and step 2. And I like to enter in 999 because that is going to be technically what's referred to as a placeholder, meaning we want 1 step because we know between the number 4 and 8 there is not 999 favorable ticks. There's only allotted 4 for the total of favorable ticks between 4 and 8. So 999 is going to ensure that this step happens once. All right, so let's go ahead and select OK. And we'll select OK on our ATM strategy. And we'll buy into the market. So I'm going to turn up the trend slider. Shorten up our graphs a little bit. The charts. Okay. So now in 4 overall favorable ticks. Step 1 will activate, moving our stop loss 3 ticks behind the last traded price. There is no frequency, so that step only happens once. And now that step 2 activated at 8 overall favorable ticks. For every 2 favorable ticks, our step 2 activated at 8 overall favorable ticks. For every 2 favorable ticks, our stop loss will follow behind 2 ticks from the last traded price until the market comes back down and fills us out. All right, so let's go ahead and go back into the custom section. And we'll just select edit again. And let's add in the third and final step. So we know that we need the favorable amount of overall ticks. So I'm going to enter in the value of 10. And I am going to enter in, I'm going to keep the value of 1 for our stop loss because this is going to be the tightest position that we can get ourselves into with the stop loss. Now, as you can tell, the profit trigger of 8 and 10, there's a gap of 2, so 10 minus 8 is 2. And our frequency is set to 2 ticks. So technically, our frequency will not activate because step 3 will activate before it can. So I'm just going to be safer than sorry, enter in 999 in the frequency section. And let's go ahead and change our frequency to step 3 to 2. So we'll select OK. OK again in the ATM window, and we'll buy into the market, and we'll turn up the translator. So step 1 will activate at 4 overall favorable ticks, moving our stop loss 3 ticks behind the last traded price. Now at 8 overall favorable ticks, our stop loss gets moved to 2 ticks as well. And then at 10 overall favorable ticks, our stop loss gets moved 1 tick behind the last traded price. And now for every 2 favorable ticks, our stop loss will chase the market last traded price until the market falls back down on us. So that is going to be one complete auto trail. So let's go ahead and go back in and edit. And let's go ahead and add in a auto break even to our auto trail. So I'm going to go ahead and change the value of step 1 to 6. Make our profit trigger 4 again in the auto break even, and just move our stop loss to that break even point or the 0 point as well. So let's go ahead and select OK. OK as well. So before we begin, I'd like to say that the auto break even profit trigger does fall into that rule of overall favorable amount of ticks. So if you set your auto break even to a value that is equal to or less than, or sorry, equal to or greater than your first step, then you might receive some issues because step 1 and the auto break even will activate at the same time or at a later time. So please keep in mind that if you'd like to use the auto break even first as well, to make sure that your auto break even is working as you intended as well. So we'll go ahead and buy into the market. Our auto break even is going to be nice and simple because the last traded price at 4 favorable ticks is going to move our stop loss to the auto break even. Then step 1 activates at 6 ticks. Then step 2 activates at 8 ticks. And then step 3 will activate at 10 ticks. So now it's just going to trail behind the last traded price from here on out. And let's go ahead and say we want to save the stop strategy because we like it. We'll go ahead and select edit and edit again in the stop strategy. So we can save the template. And I already have a stop strategy 1. So I'm going to name this one ATM 301. Hit save and hit OK. So now we have an ATM 301 template. Let's go ahead and create an ATM template for our ATM 301. So we'll just name this one ATM 301 as well. Hit save. And now we have, when we hit OK, our ATM 301 template. Let's go ahead and select edit. Here is our open-ended stop loss and our stop strategy attached to it. So when we select OK, we can have that always down here in our ATM section. So that is going to bring us to the end of auto trails. Let's go ahead and take a quick polling pace. It's a good time to do this. So how are we doing? Should we slow down, speed up, or keep this pace? So if you missed something as well for the auto trail or auto break even, you can go ahead and select number 4, and I will be happy to review any options on that real quickly. All right, I'm going to go ahead and leave this open for a few more moments. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stop the poll. And let's go ahead and go back to the custom section and finish off the stop strategy window. So now within the stop strategy, we know about the auto break even, auto trail. Let's go ahead and learn about the simulated stop. So simulated stop, we must enable it first, and this is going to apply a simulated stop order to our stop loss in NinjaTrader 8. So a simulated stop order consists of a volume trigger. So let's go ahead and put in a number of 100. Normally for the simulated stop to take place and for it to actually go through, you would need a live account. Unfortunately, we're using the simulated data feed. I'm using the Sim101 account, so we won't technically see it go through. However, we will. I'll be able to explain to you what happens, and you can see the order in place as well. So a volume trigger is going to be the certain set of predefined value of volume that we want to see our level, our market depth, be at when the market touches it. So it's either going to be at 100 or below for the order to activate. So what I mean is if we hit down here, let's go ahead and select OK. And I'm going to set a stop loss of 8 and a profit trigger of 8. Hit OK. So as you can see the market depth right here in the sides, if this number is equal to 100 or below, our simulated stop order will be submitted. However, if it's above 100, it will not submit the order if the market comes down and touches the order. So I'm going to go ahead and even this out, buy into the market. And now our stop loss is currently yellow. So this yellow order means that we have a simulated stop applied to our stop loss. So if the market comes down and touches our order, since it's clearly under the value of 100, it will submit our order. But if it's above 100, it will not submit our order if touched. So currently, if we look at the orders tab, we see that we have the state of trigger pending, meaning that we have a volume trigger attached to it as well. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close out of that. I'm going to jump back to our ATM 201, and let's go ahead excuse me, and dive into the advanced ATM settings. And let's go ahead excuse me, and dive into the advanced ATM settings. So in NinjaTrader 7, they were referred to as the advanced settings. So if I click Edit, and I'm going to select More, these are referred to as the More settings. So in NinjaTrader 8, we have Reverse at Stop, Reverse at Target, the Chase options, which includes Chase, Chase of Touch, Target Chase, and we have our options for Stop Limit for Stop Loss, which we learned in ATM 201, and MIT, Market of Touch, for Profit, targets that we learned in ATM 201, and shadow strategies. So let's go ahead and talk about shadow strategies first. So shadow strategies are used for testing purposes only. A common misconception with shadow strategies is that you submit the shadow strategy with your ATM strategy, which I'll explain in a second here, and that the shadow strategies are submitted to the live market and are hidden from the live market. That is not true. So what happens is that when we have our ATM strategy selected, like we have ATM 201 right here, and if we were to select a shadow strategy, select 301, if we had our live account selected within this account section right here, and we submitted an ATM strategy with a shadow strategy attached to it, what will happen is that we'll submit the normal ATM strategy, and the shadow strategy will submit to our Sim 101 account. So our normal ATM strategy will submit to our live account, and the shadow strategy will submit to the Sim 101 account. So the reason that it's not hidden from the market is because it technically doesn't go to the market. It's not leaving your computer, so it's not hidden from anything because your computer thinks that it's right here. So that's just the way that the Sim 101 account technically works. So the shadow strategy is going to be used for testing purposes only. It's going to show you what would happen if you were using that ATM strategy with the live market while you submit a live strategy to your live account. So that's just a testing purpose. There's not hiding it from the market or anything of that nature. It's, just for the shadow strategy testing. And that's going to be the basics of shadow strategy. So let's go ahead and take our next poll. True or false, shadow strategies allow us to hide our ATM strategies from the market. Leave this open for a few more moments. All right. Go ahead and stop the poll. So the question was, true or false, shadow strategies allow us to hide our ATM strategy from the market. The correct answer is false. It does not go to the market, so it's not technically hidden. All right. So now we have shadow strategies out of the way. Let's go ahead and talk about the reverse at stop and reverse at target. So I'm going to select reverse at stop, select OK, and I'm going to buy into the market. So as the title announces, our stop loss now has another order, and if our stop loss is touched, I'll go ahead and move it up just so we can see it, it will reverse our position. So the only way out of our position now is to either A, close the order, or fill out the profit target, and if the stop loss is touched again, it could potentially reverse our position again. So let's dive back in to the 201 settings, edits, more, and let's do reverse at target. So if we buy into the market, now our profit target has a limit order attached to it as well, and as you can guess, the profit target will reverse our position. So once our position is reversed, we'll be in a short position, and it's going to act just like the reverse at stop option as well. So the only way to get out of this order is to close the order or fill the stop loss. All right, so let's go ahead and dive back into the ATM 201. Edit the more section, and let's go ahead and learn about chase. So we'll go ahead and cover chase and target chase, and I'll explain chase if touched, which you'll understand here in a second. So I'm going to go ahead and submit a chase limit and select chase. So just as a brief overview for chase, the chase is going to be a simple way to have your order entry follow the market up if the market starts to move away from your original order, your entry order. So the chase limit is going to be the number of ticks that it will quote-unquote chase the market up. After 5 ticks, the market will leave the order in the dust if it continues to rise, and it will not chase after 5 ticks. So we'll go ahead and select OK, and I'm going to submit a limit order. So before I submit this limit order, it is important to understand that the chase settings will only work with limit orders. So just to reiterate that, they will only work with limit orders. So let's go ahead and select yes. And now our limit order is now chasing it, the last traded price. And after 5 ticks of that chase, the market will leave it behind because we predefined that we only want it to chase for 5 ticks. So any second now the market will move up and leave it behind. So that's in hope that in 5 ticks the entry order will catch the market. All right, so let's go back into the ATM 201, select edit, go to more, and let's go ahead and talk about chase if touched. So chase if touched is going to work the same way, except the market has to come down and touch the order. In the situation that your order doesn't instantly fill or if it hits the FIFO ruling or anything of that nature as well. So target chase is going to be applied to your profit target. So when we select OK and we submit a market, if the last traded price moves away from your profit target, it will chase down following the profit target, or sorry, the last traded price. So the profit target is going to be moving continuously for 5 ticks, and then once that 5 ticks is reached, the profit target will not move anymore. All right, so let's go ahead and take one more quick poll. Auto chase is used for what order type? Number 1, limit. Number 2, stop limit. Or number 3, stop market. I'm going to leave this open for a few more moments. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop the poll. So the correct answer for auto chase is used for what order type would be number 1, the limit order. So thank you for taking that. And that is going to bring us to a few demonstrations within ATM 301. So the first demonstration I would like to do is I'm going to attach an ATM to an indicator on the Superdome. So now with a NinjaTrader 8, you can attach an indicator to your Superdome. So I'm going to right click within the Superdome, go to indicators. I'm going to scroll down here and find an SMA. So I'm going to apply it by double clicking or selecting add. And I'm going to change the value up here to 20 just so we can have a larger gap. When we select OK, see if that gap was too large. Yep, looks like it's too large for this one. Go back into the indicator settings. Keep it on 14. So there is my SMA. I'm going to go ahead and drop the market so we can catch it. So what will happen is that when we want to submit an ATM to an indicator, what we need to do is add the indicator to the Superdome, which is currently down here. And when we have that indicator applied, we can go ahead and select an ATM template. Select 201, and we can submit an order, such as a buy limit order. And then we right-click on the buy limit order, go to buy, and then attach indicator, properties, and then select OK. So now this ATM strategy has a entry order attached to the SMA, which has a ATM strategy attached to it as well. So now once this SMA line is touched by the last traded price, our ATM strategy will be applied. And there is our ATM. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of that. And I'm going to go ahead and remove that SMA real quickly. Okay. So finally, the last demonstration and the last of the content for ATM 301, we're going to go ahead and use the breakout entry method. So basically, this method is going to allow us to bracket the entry orders with OCO orders. One cancels others. And both of those entry orders will have ATM strategies attached to them. So that will allow us to bracket our exit order as well. So no matter what entry and exit, we are bracketing the market. So I'm going to go ahead and, first things first, make sure that I have an ATM strategy template applied. So I'm going to select 201. Then I'm going to right-click within the Superdome and select OCO order. So now we have OCO up here. And I'm going to go ahead and submit a buy limit order, or stop limit order above the market. And now this is really important. So if you want to add an ATM to your next entry order, you need to select not the active ATM strategy, but just the normal template. So you need to have the template applied to apply it to your second order. So now that we have our second order applied, we need to submit it. I'm going to submit it on the sell side as a sell limit order. And now we have our first entry order bracketed. So I'm going to go ahead and right click and remove the OCO as well, because we don't want that OCO ID applying to anything else. So now if one of these two stop limit orders is canceled, the other one will be canceled out as well, and our ATM strategy will be applied. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this stop limit order. Once it's filled, this stop limit order will cancel, and our ATM strategy will be applied. There we go. So now that we have that bracketed, our order filled, and now we are bracketing in short position for the breakout for the market. All right, so that is going to bring it to the end of ATM 201, or sorry, 301, excuse me. And I'm going to go ahead and open up the room for a quick Q&A. So if you have any questions at all, I'll be happy to answer them regarding ATM 301. All right, looks like nothing's coming in. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Connections, Disconnect, select this red X on top of the Control Center, and I'm not going to save my workspace because I deleted a lot of windows that I'd like to keep. And let's go ahead and go back to the slides. So here's a picture of that black dojo workspace. Let's go ahead and jump to the next one. So the next suggested course is Workspace 101 on Thursdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. So join our next presentation and learn how to finalize, save, and share your custom NinjaTrader workspace. So thank you for joining me for ATM 301 today. And on behalf of everybody here at NinjaTrader, happy trading.